I worked as a manual laborer for 10 years. I had a friend once tell me when I was starting at the beginning, like laboring, he said, this is the hardest job you will ever do. He said, anything after this would be easy. I would disagree with him now. I said, no, changing your behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
So that made me curious.
Because it's behavior training is twofold, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's introducing good behavior, good habits, and it's removing bad habits.
Yeah.
So it's double.
It's double, yeah.
You know, it's just physical labor, it's just moving a heavy object.
Yeah.
Whereas this is unlearning bad habits.
Yeah.
And sometimes them bad habits are from childhood.
Or reprogramming,
Exactly.
many years of deeply ingrained.
And then you have to factory reset your brain.
Yeah.
Go to default settings.
Yeah.
Factory reset. You know what I mean? Like, and then learn again. Put the apps on again.
Yeah.
Reprogram yourself.
The software,
Because what's been downloaded is malware.
Yeah.
From childhood, society, friends, sometimes parents.
No,
You know,
of course, environment, we just say
exactly.
even sometimes life circumstances, you get into life circumstances which you might not be able to handle, and then you find like those kind of bad habits can be a short-term relief from dealing with those short-term. So let's say if somebody had a divorce, for example, they might fall into something to relieve them, whatever that bad habit is.
Exactly.
So that circumstance and that offend, that person might have been on a good run for all his life, but the one offend is, you know what I mean? So those kinds of things. But I'm saying, so anyway, that made me became interested. So from that moment on, I did one of the best things that a Muslim person can do. I made a sincere prayer and dua to Allah, because I realized that behavior change was not easy. And then I realized, wow, I need you. Then for me, I made a sincere prayer to Allah to help me. I said, please, Allah, help me to change my ways, because I realized I'm not able to do it by myself. Do you know what I mean? And I always say, I knew my dua was answered, because I soon found myself always Googling, how do you change your life? And I said, you know, when a Somalian guy meets publicly, he Googled, how do you change your life? The situation was serious.
How do you change your life? But this was what time?
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was about 2010 was when I started researching. So it's nearly 13 years I've been investigating. But for the first, from 2010 to about say 2015, that 5 years, it was just a case of like research, like becoming. I was curious. So this time, instead of struggling, like the struggle, now I was more of a curious. I was researching and then I was implementing. So then I would try something full of the wagon. Do you know what I mean? But this time I knew I had a bit more knowledge of it, because now I was reading books. I hardly ever read books in my life, but I started reading more books. You know, there's a funny story I always tell. And there was an Islamic scholar who used to read a lot of books, and then his wife got jealous of the books. She said, "Man, I hate those books so much. I would rather have 3 co-wives."
You got married to the books, essentially.
Yeah, so I said the way I was going, I think Mrs. was going to say,
That was your first wife, right?
Really,
That became your new wife,
But so from that, because I was researching and I saw. Obviously, from then I was investigating, and even just me changing myself and learning about it more. So the more I learned about habits, the more I became interested. You know what I mean? And then on top of all that, I realized that when I was talking to family and friends, they were not even aware. They were not even aware about the power of habits. I realized I was oblivious to habits for nearly 30 years. So I realized that everybody else was not even and then even further investigation, many years later, I discovered, you know, like in Western psychologist researchers, from 1930 to 1990, they hardly did any research on habits.
Right. Okay, so half a century.
That's what I'm saying, But at the beginning of the century, at the 19th century or 20th century, the habits, like the first half, habits was many. If you look at like, what's his name, James
Clear.
No, not James Clear. They say like the American father of psychology. I forgot what his name is. James something anyway,
Okay.
But anyway, there's so many other, from say like in 1989 to like 1930, habits was a big thing into the psychology research, philosophy, and but from 1930 to 1990, nobody hardly did any, because of the behavioral
models.
Because whoever's leading things, they take the course of the direction. So but that's what I'm saying.
And that's exactly, because I think it was that time Stephen R. Covey published.
Yeah, it was about 89, 1989.
The 7 habits of highly effective people. And again, habits.
Yeah.
It was about habits.
He researched for about, that's what I'm saying, from 1980s to like for about a good 10 years he was researching. That book's a great book. But that's what I'm saying, it was about that time when people, but academically, it was 1991, 2 researchers wrote a paper which caught the attention of some young researchers then, who brought it forward since then. Do you get what I mean? But what I'm saying is, that's what I'm saying, like from that time, because it was hard, one of the things was, it was hard for them to measure habits.
You can't quantify it.
Yeah, you can't quantify it because they're relying on people's memory.
Yeah, and like their self-assessments, right?
Assessment, and there's, and Benjamin Franklin said there's 3 things that's extremely hard: metal, diamond, and to know yourself.
That's true. The third one, the third one is introspection, right? Just having self-awareness.
But even that, you still, the thing is, it's hard to do that because because as human beings we're forgetful. So because we're naturally forgetful, if you're reflecting on it, unless you're doing it on an hourly basis, which gives you a bit more chance, that means it's rigid. So that means it's hard work. If you're trying to observe your behavior every hour, that's hard. Do you know what I mean? And if you got the time to do that,
exactly.
But if you try to rely on it from when you woke up to the end of the night, to try to recall, it's going to be hard to remember.
Yeah, exactly.